1955, a year of anxiety and triumphs. A major medical hurdle was crossed with the discovery by Dr. Jonas Salk of the anti-polio vaccine, which was to spread a mantle of protection over millions of American children. And the scientist entered the ranks of the medical immortals. Leading drug firms shifted into high gear to meet a national demand, which spread to every crossroads despite early controversy. Each hastily set up center became a mecca for anxious parents shepherding little Johnny and little Jill to their inoculations. They're protected, and it didn't hurt a bit. To Abergildy Castle in Scotland comes the royal family, Queen Mother, Queen, Duke, Prince, and Princess to help behind the counter at a church bazaar. Sales are brisk, and why not? With a royal hello and a friendly word or two dispensed with every article purchased. No matter how insignificant the article, it takes on added significance when sold by royalty. One is souvenir to show the folks at home. The younger generation pitches in. Both Prince Charles and Princess Anne are a big hit with the customers, taking their cues perhaps from their dad, Duke Philip, a royal salesman. A tuppence does it. Handsome Prince Rainier III of Monaco examines his newly purchased American car shortly after his arrival in New York. The bachelor prince may find the wife he is seeking in America. In the meantime, hospitalized veterans are his guests on a tour of the city. At a Veterans Administration hospital, he pays a call on the patients. During the course of his visit, the prince distributes lighters bearing his crest as Christmas presents. The royal visitor has definite ideas about the kind of wife he wants, girls, so the line forms on the right.
Vice President Richard Nixon returns to his first job as filling station attendant to help launch the March of Dimes campaign. He's lost none of the skill he picked up in college days when he worked summers in his father's gas station. This filling station is donating a day's profits to the anti-polio campaign. Hence the slogan, "Fill her up for polio." It's the keynote of a nationwide campaign to support the March of Dimes. Also lending a hand is polio youngster Carol Vitello, driving a midget auto in the Pump for Polio campaign.
A stunned nation hears that its president is stricken with a heart attack at the Denver home of his mother-in-law, Mrs. John Dowd. The chief executive, ending his vacation, is rushed to Fitzsimmons Hospital, where he is immediately placed in an oxygen tent. The president's son, Major John Eisenhower, and Press Secretary James Haggerty go to the president's bedside, from which physicians issue cautiously optimistic bulletins. As an anxious nation awaits, newsmen converge on the press secretary for information. An improvised press room is set up to relay up-to-the-minute reports, which give the president's condition as satisfactory, but predict a long period of recuperation. In churches of all faiths, prayers are offered up. Vice President Nixon, upon whom a heavy burden has fallen, leaves for emergency meetings and sums up what is in the hearts of all Americans.
I have been asked a number of questions as to the political and other implications of the president's illness. My answer to all these questions is to express the concern I share with all of the American people for the early and complete recovery of the president. Compared with this, all other questions are not worthy of comment. In the meantime, the business of government will continue as usual under an administration which has been organized by the president to operate effectively in his absence. And the people of America, the people of other countries, can be sure that the United States will continue to go forward under the Eisenhower foreign and domestic policies.
Hello, I'm Jackie Gleason. I have a serious message for you. There are forces seeking to divide our house, our nation. They have skillful ways and techniques. They know how to pit race against race, class against class, religion against religion, and brother against brother. If a house be divided, it cannot stand. That is as true today as it was 19 centuries ago when it was first said. Without brotherhood, we shall soon cease to exist as a great nation. President Eisenhower said that. He is the honorary chairman of the Brotherhood Campaign of 1955. Let us join him and keep this nation united and strong.
In Washington, Senator Estes Kefauver makes the long-expected announcement that he will be a candidate for the Democratic presidential nomination in 1956. The Tennessee legislator revealed plans to make a strong campaign in the primary elections and challenged Adlai Stevenson to oppose him in the New Hampshire primaries. A famous coonskin cap in the ring for 56. The long-awaited Benny Goodman story gets its first public screenings at special by invitation-only press previews in New York and major cities across the nation. Leading motion picture executives and celebrities are also on hand for the preview of the film biography of the King of Swing, portrayed by Steve Allen, who arrives with his wife. The occasion is only a prelude to the gala world premiere February 2nd in Chicago, hometown of Benny Goodman, still the king to legions of fans. The film story of his progress from a Chicago tenement to Carnegie Hall and national fame is expected to surpass even the all-time record popularity of the Glenn Miller story. For Benny Goodman, whose clarinet recreates dozens of his great hits in the film, and for Steve Allen, who earns acclaim in his first major acting role, mutual congratulations are definitely in order. Furs for fall and winter, on display in a swanky setting in Hillsborough, California. As a starter, a chinchilla coat worth $100,000. As a starter, I'd call it a stopper. Mainly, it's a mink affair, all for sweet charity to aid crippled children. And top California society turns out to see the latest in fine furs displayed at the fabulous chateau of Countess Lillian Remoulade Dandini. A gracious hostess receives an orchid corsage as thanks for opening her home and heart to charity. Quite a crowd that, 5,000 getting an eyeful of fancy furs. For instance, this iris mink stunner worth a cool 10 grand. That's a lot of coat, not to mention the price. But looking is for free, and so is dreaming. White suggests winter, and winter suggests Christmas, and Christmas so soon?
An air of tense expectation pervades the crowd awaiting the presentation of Motion Picture Academy Awards. Jane Wyman and Ross Hunter, Jeff Chandler and his wife are among the interested spectators. Universal International's Rock Hudson escorts UI's lovely new star, Cornell Borchers, to the function. The curtain rises on Moviedom's big night. UI's Les Carey gets an Oscar for his sound recording in The Glenn Miller Story. Grace Kelly receives the award as Best Actress of the Year from William Holden. Best Actor award goes to Marlon Brando, who previously has been a candidate, but this year is a winner. The motion picture world has given its verdict.
Here's the latest look from Paris, filmed in Paris. Flattering new creations by Dior, Balmain, Lanvin, and other top Parisian couturiers. This elegant dinner-to-theater ensemble is of Orlan satin, emphasizing the lithe, unbelted line the designer calls the whip line. To Jacques Heim, the new silhouette is a telescope. Fabric poofs are worked horizontally to give the effect of being threaded through narrow panels. The black cocktail dress tapers from snug bodice to wide hem. Christian Dior's Y-line shows to advantage in this adaptation of the midi, a dinner gown with buttons down the back. The Y is completed at the shoulders with 2 accenting bows. A French tapestry inspired this short evening gown using 3-dimensional embroidery on a dress basically quite simple. The designer, Pierre Balmain. The dress, lovely, n'est-ce pas? The embroidery marks this as a Balmain creation, too. Its intricate shirring and sculptured bodice emphasizing the supple drape of the fabric, rich white satin of man-made fibers. Her companion wears a short evening gown of Chinese yellow. It's a rich fabric, full-bodied and supple to drape. The gilt and gold decor of Versailles inspired this stunning gown with embroidered golden jewels on billowing satin. The flowing white velvet stole provides a lovely accent for a lovely gown. Just another creation from Paris that you gals will be wearing before long, you hope? Another twosome, the one standing, models an example of Jacques Heim's telescope line. 2 wide paniers cup the billowing skirt. Marc Bohan designed her elegant ball gown. From Paris to you, wherever you may be, here is a lowdown on high styles. A first look at a new look from France, soon to adorn Milady America. Vive la France! The Silver Jubilee celebration of Modern Screen Magazine is keynoted by Kirk Douglas, beard and all, who presents the annual award to Rock Hudson, selected as the most popular film actor of the year. It's a happy birthday celebration, especially for the handsome young actor, for this is the second year in a row that Mr. Hudson has been picked by Modern Screen as most popular actor. Top honors for a top star. Hats are again in the news, or still in the news, but whatever, these latest films just in from Italy reveal the trend of Italian millinery modes. The trend is to wide brim jobs of lightweight fur, just the thing for some gals. As for others, well, we better leave criticism of women's hats to women. I know when to be quiet. Like, for instance, when she says, "How do you like my new hat?" Just say, "Oh, yes, are those ostrich feathers, dear?" She'll think you're so clever, you won't have to say another word. For ostrich feathers, by the way, are getting to be quite the thing in Rome. Note how ingeniously they accent this cute little chapeau. Here's a little turban suitable for a Raja's favorite. A Russian cap, they call it. Old-fashioned and old-worldish. On her, it looks good. The next one leaves me speechless. You name it. The net goes all out this time, but the eyes have it. Finally, a fancy and elegant little toque of plumes. It tops them all. Hopes for peace soared at the Geneva Summit Parley, where heads of state of Russia, France, England, and the United States met to create what was to be known as the Geneva Spirit. Here, President Eisenhower electrified the world with his dramatic proposal of the open sky inspection of military installations as a barrier to unexpected attack. It was a plea for an ensured peace. Unfortunately, the Geneva Spirit failed to materialize in a subsequent meeting of the Big Four foreign ministers, where a hopeless deadlock ensued. The densely populated northeastern states were dealt one of the most staggering blows in their long history. Within a few weeks of each other, Hurricane Carol and later a 9-inch deluge combined to reduce some of the nation's oldest cities to a shambles. 400 perished during these disasters, and property losses ran into the hundreds of millions. One of the cradles of American civilization was battered but not beaten. President Eisenhower, at the height of the disaster, made a personal survey of the stricken area and ordered immediate federal aid. Even as these pictures were made, rebuilding had started. The year saw two of the nation's worst air disasters. One, a deliberate act of sabotage, in which a time bomb took the lives of 44. The other flight, in which 66 were killed, crashed into the craggy crest of Medicine Bow Mountain. The grim coincidence shared in both disasters was their point of origin, Denver, and their common graveyard, the Rockies. A 10-year dictatorship ended in South America. Juan Perón, strongman of the Argentine, reached the end of the road. After one abortive revolution and a second conclusive one, his appeal for support fell on deaf ears. A long history of persecution of the clergy and his excommunication brought the inevitable retribution. Elements of Army, Navy, and Air Force defected to provide his ouster. In the final stages of the revolt, the last to fall was the headquarters of the Labor Confederation, his staunchest supporters. Exit the dictator. Princess and Commoner. The plot of story and fable came to fruition during 1955. Princess Margaret, younger sister of the Queen of England, reached the crossroads of her romance with Group Captain and RAF hero Peter Townsend. Captain Townsend returned to England for several reunions with the winsome young princess, and the world awaited her decision. Faced with opposition of the church and her family to marriage with a divorced man, she chose duty before love. France's North African colonial empire was dealt a crippling blow during the year as revolt raged throughout Morocco, Algeria, and Tunisia. So severe were the uprisings, which cost the lives of thousands, that France was forced to restore the once exiled Sultan, Mohammed ben Youssef, who returned in triumph to his capital city of Rabat. The nationalist leader, who had spent 18 months on the island of Madagascar, returned to power, and his resumption of the throne proved a rallying point for Arab feeling throughout North Africa. 1,200 union delegates gathered in New York for what was probably the most historic meeting in the history of American labor. Symbolic of the merger of the AFL and CIO, George Meany and Walter Reuther jointly banged the gavel to open the meeting. A meeting destined to bring under one banner 16 million American workers. Meany became the first president of the new organization, with Reuther one of the 37 vice presidents. A milestone for labor. After 26 years of foreign rule under Hitler's Anschluss and later four-power occupation, freedom came to Austria. One of the heartwarming results was Russia's return of prisoners. Austria's pledge of neutrality under the treaty led to some of the most affecting reunions in a Europe of war-scattered families. Here in a world of precarious peace lay the perfect symbol of one nation which had achieved it. Russia's about-face after balking an Austrian peace treaty for years, and the fulfillment of the Red Pledge to return prisoners gave freedom-loving people the world over some hope that the eternal Cold War might eventually end.
The United States has no commitment and no purpose to defend the coastal islands as such. I repeat, as such. The basic purpose is to assure that Formosa and the pescadores will not be forcibly taken over by the Chinese communists. As the situation now exists, neither the cause of freedom, nor United States security, nor world peace and security would be promoted by undermining the faith of the free Asian peoples in our strength and in our willingness to use that strength to restrain and those who violently menace liberty.
At Castle Air Force Base, California, the B-52, America's biggest and newest jet bomber, goes into squadron service with the Strategic Air Command. A wingspan of 185 feet, length of over 150 feet and intercontinental range, over 6,000 miles without refueling, combat ceiling of 50,000 feet and a speed estimated at over 600 miles an hour. That's the B-52, shown in these Defense Department films going into active service in quantity, threatening devastating counterattack to any aggressor, the mightiest bomber in history.
88,000 fans in Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum see Norman Van Brocklin's second period pass intercepted by the Browns' Don Paul and run back 70 yards for a touchdown as the Rams beat the Cleveland Browns for the Pro Football Championship. 6 plays later, Van Brocklin fades back again, passes, and this aerial connects. Skeets Quinlan snares it and romps for the Rams' first score of the game. Almost doesn't make it. Trailing 10-7, the Rams take to the air once more, and once more it is intercepted. 7 Brown interceptions helped turn the game into a Cleveland touchdown parade. Otto Graham made his farewell appearance, closing out his grid career in brilliant style with passes like this one. Another Cleveland score. Graham again completed to Lavelli for 10 yards. Graham closed his 10-year career with a completion average of 55.8%. On the ground, too, he's as tricky and dangerous as ever. Stopped cold on the 0 line, but it's Graham who walks away. And on the very next play, it's a quarterback sneak for score. The 38-14 victory was a fine farewell gift from Graham to Coach Paul Brown, the Browns' third NFL crown in 6 years. But what happens next year without Graham? Davis Cup tennis at Forest Hills. The Americans defending the cup against the Australians. In the doubles, it's Tony Trabert and Vic Seixas versus Lewis Hode and Rex Hartwig. Tops in tennis thrills and drama as the Yanks in the near court battle to keep the coveted trophy they took from the Aussies only 8 months ago. Point for Australia. Victory today will clinch the cup, for the Down Under Court Kings took the previous day's 2 singles matches. They're in the near court now, and it's all even in 2 sets apiece. This is the 5th and final set. Point for Australia, and it's set and match point. Trabert dives and misses. It's all over, and the Australians go on to make it a clean sweep. The Davis Cup returns down under. Raymond Tierney, president of New York's Downtown Athletic Club, presents the Heisman Memorial Trophy to Howard Hopalong Cassidy of Ohio State. Mrs. Cassidy sees her husband honored as the top college star of the year. Here he is in action, passing with bullseye accuracy. A 2-time All-American halfback who won the award by the greatest majority of points in history. Sports writers and sportscasters made him a landslide winner. The Buckeye backfield star, who has been drafted by the Detroit Lions, has yet to decide on his football future. Climaxed 4 sensational seasons at Ohio State this fall by scoring 15 touchdowns. He just bowled them over. College football's #1 hero is just that to his pretty young wife, who sums it all up very nicely. A bus for a bustling Buckeye, Howard Hopalong Cassidy. College basketball is back on the boards at Madison Square Garden, with the St. Louis University Cagers finding the range over their opponents of the evening, the Redmen of St. John's. 7,000 fans have their fill of action, with the score acting like a seesaw. Whoops, stop that thief. St. Louis has the ball, and a basket. Game is marked by long sustained scoring spurts by both teams, with the Redmen displaying some fancy tactics. Rack one up for the Redmen, and their rooters go wild. But the Billikens from St. Louis come right back with some dandy court capers of their own. There's still a lot of fight left, however, in the Redmen, and the fight is a good one. Fire, and the Redmen lead by 8 points. But the Billikens pull out the decision by clicking off 14 straight points in the last 4 minutes of play. That's some scoring spree. An upset as St. Louis walks away with the marbles 88-80. To South Bend for the Notre Dame Southern Methodist game, and a new star, Paul Hornung, blazing for the Irish. Paul Hornung stepping into Ralph Guglielmi's All-American shoes. Another newcomer, Aubrey Lewis, keeps the Irish rolling this trip, lugging leather to the SMU 11-yard line. But Hornung, 200-pound junior from Louisville, plays the stellar role today, scores Notre Dame's first touchdown, and also kicked a 38-yard field goal. And old Irish luck still holds, too, as witness what happens to this Mustang pass. Lewis intercepts the ball on the 20, and watch him make tracks. He carries it all the way to the 41 before hitting a stone wall. Break for Notre Dame, and they cash in on it. Calling signals like a veteran, Hornung tosses to Don Schaefer, and the Fighting Irish roll on to a bruising opening victory over SMU. Looking like the Irish of old, the 55 edition, with Lewis again reeling off the yards, makes good reading for Notre Dame fans. New names, same old results. Hornung hands off to Reynolds, who saddles the Mustang with another TD, and ND wins 17-0. David Stewart loves a parade. There's David, 14 years old, and there's the parade, David's parade. Let's go back a bit and give you the lowdown. Started a year ago when David, who loves a parade, staged one all by himself. got so much publicity that this year, everyone in Daly City, including the street cleaners, pitched in to make this year's show bigger and better. Traffic on the main highway was blocked for miles, and it just had to wait for David. Only hitch developed when Mayor Verducci tried to crown Miss Daly City. The lady said no. Then David said, "Pretty please, put it on." The little lady exercised the feminine prerogative of changing her mind, and the crowning touch was added to David's parade. School is in session. Bullfighting school in Caracas, Venezuela, where a pair of horns held by a fellow student is a young fellow's first taste of the sport. First, a mock bull, but soon comes the real thing. A student graduates from theory to fact, and the fact of the matter is El Toro means business. Theory is no defense against a mistake now. Offense is. The whole place is jumping. Despite a few near misses, the school has never had any serious accidents in its 4 years of operation. And the only fatality today is a pair of pants and a youngster's pride. But he dreams of fame and fortune in the bull ring like all Spanish-speaking youngsters do, so he swallows his pride and gets on with his studies. Class dismissed. Technicians make last-minute adjustments for the world's first demonstration of the telephone of tomorrow at the Western Electronics Convention in San Francisco. It's the often forecast video phone. How does it work? Just lift the receiver and you see your own image. This feature's for the girls. At long last, a reason for the primping that usually precedes a woman's phone call. No picture is transmitted over the line, though, since no call is placed. Then dial your number just as with an obsolete old 55 model phone, and when your party answers, there he is, almost as big as life on the 10-inch video screen. The system could have its disadvantages as well as virtues, but there's plenty of time to iron out problems in human relations. This hookup would cost $5,000 per phone today. So until the price comes down, the video phone remains the phone of the future. See you then, good looking. The ultimate in do-it-yourself projects from the home workshop of 16-year-old Kurt Golden, Arthur the Robot. The second mechanical man built by the Oakland, California high school youth, Arthur represents all of a month's after-school tinkering. The project paid off. Arthur now handles many of Kurt's chores around the house, while the young genius controls operations from the sidelines. Kurt's next step will be to install radio controls and really take it easy while Arthur works. Oops, an accident. Bad aim or something. But was it an accident? Arthur ain't talking. Seems suspicious, though, when the controls are just about foolproof. But Arthur the Robot's a harmless fellow, and uh-oh, here he comes. This is where we go.
That gay, wonderful harbinger of spring, the circus comes to town. And the opening night of the Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus at Madison Square Garden is a charity affair to benefit the Arthritis and Rheumatism Foundation. Top stars of the entertainment world, including Milton Berle as ringmaster, lend their talents to the premiere. A glittering extravaganza called Rainbow Round the World. There's Jimmy Cagney, Martha Raye, and Marilyn Monroe on a pink elephant. The circus is indeed in town.